What's up, crowdfunders? Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Salvador Brigman and I run the blog crowdcrux.com, where I try to demystify the entire crowdfunding process. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a few different items that you just need to make sure you have together before you launch a Kickstarter campaign. This is like a checklist, this is a to-do list, these are things that you need to focus on if you're going to be launching a Kickstarter campaign. The first item is going to be a website or a landing page. And I know this sounds really basic, but you'd be surprised the number of creators I speak with that have a very low quality website, that don't have any kind of landing page, and even their website doesn't link to their Kickstarter campaign or their Kickstarter pre-launch. It's ridiculous. I think it's really one of the most powerful ways in the pre-launch phase to not just grab contact information from your visitors, but also to just show off your presence, to show off the work you're putting in as you lead up to the launch of this Kickstarter campaign. So go and make a website. There are a few different ways. You can use Squarespace, you can create a WordPress-based website, you can even just use something like Lead Pages as an opt-in, as just a landing page to really collect emails. There are a few different ways to set up a website. Just go with the one that feels most comfortable to you. I'll include a few links also to these tools that I just mentioned in the description of this YouTube video. The second thing that you really, I think, should be concentrating on before you launch that Kickstarter campaign is building your email list. Email, in my experience with the creators I've spoken with, and also just in terms of statistics of marketing online, is one of the highest converting ways to turn a prospective browser into a buyer. Or in this case, to turn someone interested in what you're doing into an actual backer of your Kickstarter campaign. So build an email list. Have some kind of way that people can opt into your email list on your website and make it prominent. You know, if you possible, give away something, some kind of incentive so that people are going to want to subscribe to your email list, or give them access to behind the scenes footage or behind the scenes sketches, what you're doing as you're building up to the launch of this Kickstarter campaign. Build a little bit of anticipation with your email list. And once you do launch, once you do finally hit that launch button, it's going to mean early backers. It's going to mean people actually taking action as they learn about your project. They're actually going to back you rather than having some kind of disjointed marketing system. It's going to be a lot more synced all with this one email list. So you can use MailChimp, you can use Aweber. If you're really trying to get fancy, you can use something like Infusionsoft. I just use MailChimp, and it's free up until 2,000 subscribers. The third thing that I think that you should be doing as you're preparing for the launch of a Kickstarter campaign is to build up your social media profiles and to begin to reestablish a relationship with what are going to be your first backers. So what do I mean by that? I mean, number one, let's just say you're focusing on Twitter, or you're focusing on Facebook, or you're focusing on Instagram. Start to build up that social media account with content. My sort of rule is, if you're going to be doing Twitter, for example, posting 5 updates, maybe one of them is some kind of self-promotional in some way, but the other ones are really just value for your followers or content that people would be interested in. You're not spamming like every single tweet being like, hey, check out my Kickstarter, hey, check out my Kickstarter, hey, check out, I'm going to be launching this Kickstarter. No, you're providing value to people in some way, or like giving them cool sketches or like cool prototypes, like cool things that you're just sharing out there into the universe. And this is the same as true as Facebook or Instagram, posting inspirational quotes, posting just really cool design things, something that's related to your project, but also that people are going to want to consume. You want to inform them, entertain them in some way, and then sort of like the jab, 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 right hook philosophy. Eventually you're going to ask them to do something, but before you do that, you're just building a relationship with those followers. And that is also very true, I think, of your family, your friends, the people that are going to be your initial backers. You want to reestablish a relationship with them just start to talk with them again. Start to get reinterested in their life if you haven't contacted someone in a long time. Just begin to reestablish those relationships so that when you do make that ask, when you do ask them to actually back and support your project, it doesn't come out of nowhere. Like, it doesn't seem like you're just asking them out of nowhere for something when you haven't contributed anything to their life in a long while. So reestablish those relationships with your early backers, your family, your friends, and eventually that's going to pay dividends down the road. The fourth thing that I would recommend doing before you hit the launch button on that Kickstarter campaign is to really think deeply about the costs that are going to go into this crowdfunding campaign. There are a lot of entrepreneurs I've interviewed, I'll even link to a few down below, that have run Kickstarter campaigns and end up having like wild success. Like, they end up raising so much more than they thought. But the worst thing that could happen is that you exceed your fundraising goal, that you raise a bunch of money and you didn't calculate costs correctly. So maybe there's some kind of fulfillment or shipping problem, or because you now have such a larger order that it's just going to negatively impact your costs. You don't want to end up owing money after running a Kickstarter campaign. So please look into your costs, really put all of them into a spreadsheet, and also sort of best case and worst case projections. Like, what happens if you end up launching a new add-on and only 5 people buy it? Or what happens if you overfund your campaign 3 times? Like, how is that going to impact your costs? How is that going to impact your shipping? Are you going to be still giving shipping internationally for free? All these kinds of questions you need to think about before you hit that launch button, just so that you make sure there aren't any errors in calculations and you end up owing money in some way after having launched a Kickstarter campaign. The next and final thing that I'm going to mention, and I realize that there are a lot of different things you can do and that you must do in preparation for a Kickstarter campaign, but I just sort of wanted to use this video to highlight a few of the key things that I think creators need to really think about. And obviously you need to do the video, the campaign text, the rewards, the copywriting, all that kind of stuff, but these are items that I think that people sometimes miss out on. They're items that I think that people sometimes just don't think about. So the next item that I want to mention, something that you should be focusing on before you actually hit the launch button of that Kickstarter campaign, and that is the Kickstarter slump. And what is the Kickstarter slump? So the Kickstarter slump is basically when you launch the campaign, you get a lot of pledges initially, and then it sort of tapers off. And like towards the end of the campaign, you might see another bump in pledges just from the whole aspect of timing, that people are only going to be able to get in on this project for a limited time. But during that middle point, you're seeing stagnation. You're not seeing too many pledges, and that can really freak a lot of people out. Like, it's very emotionally draining to be working and seeing like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting any more pledges. I'm not getting any new backers. It's just like, it feels like your campaign is in free fall almost. So you want to plan for that ahead of time. And it is very hard to plan for that, I admit. It's really hard to schedule PR to go out, to maybe organize advertising, or to go on podcasts, to really give a shout out in some way, to get an influencer to give you a shout out. It's hard to organize that, but if you are going to be lagging or you're going to be seeing stagnation in this middle period, this can be a great way to continue relevancy, to continue to rank well in the Kickstarter algorithm, to continue to get more and more backers to your campaign. Really, at the end of the day, the line that it comes back to is always be selling, always be marketing, always be looking for avenues where you can give an excuse to share your campaign or in some way connect with a whole new base of backers. So try to please plan for that. Try to at least think about it, because the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to start to panic. You're going to start to feel like, oh my gosh, my campaign is in free fall. What am I going to do? And it might lead to purchasing advertising that doesn't make sense. It might lead to just doing things that you're trying to spam your link all over the internet, things that just aren't going to help with marketing. So think about that before you launch a Kickstarter campaign. As a bonus to this list of things to consider before launching a Kickstarter campaign, I just want to say that of all of the people that have contacted me via email, the 6,000 members on my forum, kickstarterforum.org, or just people that have reached out to me in any fashion on Twitter. A lot of people say that they wish they discovered my free blog, my free podcast, before they actually launched their Kickstarter campaign. And that's because I'll interview entrepreneurs who have raised money. You know, I'll discuss marketing tactics that are working today on Kickstarter. And I do obviously have some paid content, but a lot of my stuff is free. I'd say like at least 90% of the information I put out is free. And people really have expressed that time and time again that they wish they discovered my blog or my podcast before launching their campaign. So also feel free to take advantage of that. I think that even if you're just going to consume a podcast episode, you have no intention whatsoever of investing in any of my paid products. That's completely okay with me. The reason I started my website was to really just shine a light on this new industry and to share information out there for the people that can't afford to maybe invest in a product or just don't have the budget to do so. For those of you that are really serious, that are really want to commit to this process, that really want to boost and improve your campaign, you can check out my products like my ebook, my course, other products that I have on my website. But thank you guys so much for listening to this YouTube video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it was helpful. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what kind of Kickstarter project you're launching. And also please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. It would help the video rank better in the YouTube algorithm. And it's also just, to me, a great indication like, hey, people like this. I'm going to keep doing these videos. So thank you so much if you decide to do that. But again, my name is Salvador Brigman, my website is crowdcrux.com, and my forum is kickstarterforum.org. I hope to see you next time on one of my YouTube videos.